we go. I guess the master of the sport.
I gave her the nod. We're good.
But like I said. the
Yeah,
master-
absolutely. Yeah. Okay,
So the only thing we have specifically on the agenda is a request from, or a traffic change request based on our sign shop. They are noticing something that's happening at the intersection of Foothill Road and Odyssey / Side Hill. I don't know if you know where this is, but
That's all that moves up. The backside.
no, well, Rimrock is off the
Right
other
when you
side.
pass Quail Ridge, if you turn on Foothill from
Here's the
21st,
overall,
Oh,
it's right to the left as you pass Quail Ridge. Where that big house with the pond is.
yeah.
yeah, there's the pond.
Yeah,
yeah,
Isn't that-
pond, big house.
the right side's Rimrock, the left goes down to, it's Side Hill Lane, I can't
It's
remember the
Side Hill
name of the
Lane.
subdivision.
Yeah,
but-
it's an older subdivision, but the intersection of there is kind of an odd three-way shape intersection. And right now it's a yield sign going on to, so it's a yield sign going on to Foothill Road.
Right.
With the addition of Hog Hollow. And more people getting in here and more people, construction equipment and stuff like that, our sign shop has seen some things there that they're recommending. We change Odyssey onto Side Hill to a yield sign and put a stop sign onto Foothill Road from Side Hill.
So the stop sign's not,
Right now, there's a yield sign. So if you look at that, there's a yield sign that's on Foothill Road, but there's nothing on Odyssey where it joins onto Side Hill.
I think that makes sense. That's a bad corner anyways.
I was up there on the state sale. And that's how. Siri took me. I wasn't even aware of this, because I thought it was just part of Rimrock.
Yeah, it's just not part of Rimrock.
It looks like this.
Yeah. It looks like it, but it's not. And this area back in here is where Hog Hollow is gonna be. There's not gonna be a ton of homes down in there.
it's just a great name.
I didn't pick it. I
Hog
wouldn't use it.
Holler.
Yeah.
Hog Hollow.
And it's in the floodplain too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's only, they're all 5 acre lots. I think there's like 7 or 8 lots down on that side.
I've been the
Yeah, they only made it that big, so I haven't been annex it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's oriented, there's the lake house place, that comes down from there.
Which the lake house is the developer of Hog Hollow.
Well, that would make sense. With a water slide.
So that is the recommendation from Public Works and the sign shop is we put a stop sign at Foothill and a yield sign from Odyssey on the Side Hill.
Makes sense.
Yes, that's.
Okay. We're instructing to do that. I wanted to follow up a little bit with Commissioner Reed on 81st North and 65th West. I looked at the traffic data and the traffic accidents. There was one traffic accident in the last 5 years reported half a mile east of that intersection. It was animal related. And this is a picture of those two roads. You can see forever. The yield sign is on 65th onto 81st. And that's where, I mean, from an engineering standpoint and a road signage standpoint, the yield signs are adequate for it. If you, the commissioners, tell us to put a stop sign up there, we can put a stop sign, that's where jurisdictional discretion comes into play. We can do a traffic study, a traffic count out there. My gut feel is that it won't be,
It, there was a really bad accident there during harvest. One of Brett Jensen's water trucks hit Carl Taylor's service truck with a long time employee in it. Put him in the hospital for several days, collapsed lung, broken hip. I mean, he was banged up. He was lucky he lived through it. So Carl called me and said, hey, we need this yield sign changed to a stop sign. He said, according to him, he said, I've seen multiple times when people just blow through that yield sign, without even looking. And, he said there's been some close calls.
65th West is a gravel road at this point in time.
But when we talked to Lance, like, well, if you do a traffic study anytime besides August 1st to October 15th, it'll be very little. But if you do it during that time frame, you do it during potato harvest, that's intersection will be hopping. I guess I just don't see the harm in putting a stop sign there. And Carl told me, he said, he was pretty hot when he called me, and he said, as you know, I'm pretty emotional about this because my dad was killed at that intersection just a couple miles from there, same way during harvest. So, he was emotionally wound up a little bit that day.
Yeah.
Again, I just don't see the harm in changing it from a yield sign to a stop sign.
Well, at least get them to slow down. They won't stop.
Right.
Yield, they just.
So I don't think there's harm in changing it to a stop sign. What I don't want to get to is we put stop signs up are just out there, and if there's very little traffic, nobody ever stops at it. Just like they don't stop or they don't yield because there's hardly ever crosstalk traffic.
Right.
So you have it up there and people get so used to nobody coming that they ignore the stop sign completely.
My argument to it would be for 81st, and if you do a traffic study, I think this will bear out most of the time of year. 81st is a pretty major east-west road.
Mhm.
It goes from the school and the church there. It's one of the few paved roads that goes clear out where the old feed dump used to be. And then that develops into access to Roberts Farm area. That's a major road.
You know how much traffic is on it?
On 81st?
Yeah.
I would say it's fairly regularly traveled. Taters have their headquarters clear out the top of where Clemens
So-
Hill was,
General numbers to warrant the stop sign there, it would have to be on an order of 300 vehicles or 300 vehicles per hour.
No, it's not anywhere close to that.
That's where that warrant comes in, is about that 300 vehicles per hour level.
Yeah, it wouldn't be
Is-
close to that.
Is there an intersection sign in advance of the yield sign?
No, there's not.
Well, if we have the choice, I mean, I'm gonna recommend we do it. But
And the only concern I've got is if there are other ones like where Carl's dad was killed a couple of miles, that we should the request comes for one there.
the place where his dad was killed used to be a two-way stop. It's now a four-way stop. That's the corner of 35th and it's 2 miles north of 81st. So it's Stoneberg's corner there.
13th.
It's the road 113, one that goes out to the feedlot, to Cannon's feedlot out there.
And that one's also paved out there.
They're both paved. That used to be a two-way stop. After his dad was killed, they made that, county made that a four-way.
Well, you can take care of all those water accidents by just curtailing the water.
Right. So,
I like four-way stops at every intersection, because then there's no gas. And people get trained, like Twin Falls, you go out in the county around Twin, every mile's a four-way stop, and you know that. So you just know. Stop at every mile intersection, and I think the mistake we have is that we have some that aren't, and some that are, and some that are this way because they've always been that way, and now the traffic's the other way, and I think it confuses folks. I prefer stop signs over yield signs because I think there's less, at least when somebody does get hurt, it's like you're really stupid, not just careless, but
is this a yield sign on both sides?
Yes.
First, okay. Well, that would be my recommendation, but I don't know.
I'd be fine with that on one, but. You know, the problem with four-way stops, we've struggled a
oh,
lot,
I know.
is the liability that it puts on the county if you don't meet the. MUTD,
MUTCD.
yeah, warrants.
And you wouldn't want to stop 81st, because like I say, that's a pretty major.
No, then
arterial
that's the
that's drawing
problem with-
Traffic out.
I look at 45th and 60, or 49th and 65th, and I just think that whole section ought to be four-way stops, then we don't have people being confused about, oh, this is the one that's through and it's not, or, but in this case, I'd be happy with stop signs on the cross street. I've never understood why there'd be stop signs on a dirt road when it's a paved road.
People are driving too
The
fast.
wrong road, and it should be the dirt road that gets the stop signs.
Yeah. 81st is probably, it's at least 60 miles an hour, people get on that road and go.
Montana speed limit.
Yeah, it's because it's a good paved road.
What we need to do is get the sheriff more deputies.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Well, what, I'm hearing maybe some support from the commissioners. Does this need to be an action item or
It would need to be an action item.
Okay, then
for next week?
Are we doing that?
No, we can do it next week. There's no rush now. Yeah.
As long as it's done
And-
by August 31st of next year.
So that'd be great. I appreciate that.
You're on the agenda items. Could we put on there as an action item? The discussion. Joint facility agreement with Idaho Falls.
For next week.
We've got the proposal, yeah. And as soon as we get the clean copies from Mike. Distribute that, so that it's incorporates all the changes. Copy together.
Okay, are they gonna do that this week? And
I talked to him yesterday, he's supposed to be the one.
okay,
Get that really. City of Idaho Falls. Lisa's been working on it.
Yeah, I've been very involved in that one.
Yeah, mostly it's, you know, having to schedule it, bigger processes. A little more cumbersome than ours to get stuff like that through, so she's gonna have to.
Yeah, that's fine.
have you decided who you're gonna put down as a contact on there and the vice versa with the city of Idaho Falls? Cause that's part of the agreement too, is the name needs to be in there.
position needs to be in there.
Yeah. Position.
Yeah, cause, I would think on the city's behalf would be public, their public works guy, Chris O'Brien, Bridge supervisor, director. Probably want commissioner's office.
Cause right now it has two, it has one from the city and one from the county,
Well,
but they're not listed.
The way the meetings are structured, that's gonna be the monthly update
Yeah,
is between the staff.
yes,
require the elected bodies get together once a year.
So those just need to be spelled out in that final agreement before it.
Yeah.
Gets signed with it.
I'll look at that when he sends it over.
Okay.
But John will have to zoom in because he's the district health.
Okay.
Okay.
Anything else?
That's all I had to talk about on the agenda. Just a little update. They are still working on Hammond Road. We're gonna drive out after this meeting and try to see anything that's going on.
Making crazy fast progress.
And
You don't think so?
fast enough.
I didn't know a track hoe could rip up that much ground that fast.
They put a lot of cones up.
Yes. I don't traffic safety is doing their job.
I still on my drove down that road Sunday. And they still weren't even to the tracks on the one side of Lincoln Road.
And I was hoping they'd be to the tracks last week, but
Both sides are one side,
one side.
because they're past the Hammond Road and almost to the entrance to Red Rock now. I mean, past Hammond Road.
Okay.
Last night.
I haven't been out there to see.
We drove it on the way out yesterday.
Seems like it has picked up since when they first started, for whatever reason, it decided to work faster.
Takes a long time to put that many cones out.
Probably true, that was the first 5 days, so.
Yeah.
Okay, did you have some?
Yeah, just a little update. I sent this sketch to Mr. Murdoch, I guess, and Romrell, just as a starting point for conversation with his neighbors, I guess. It shows a 50-foot cul-de-sac.
That's on the commercial side.
Well, yeah, it's on both sides. It takes
The black line and shows the 50-foot.
takes a portion of their well lot, some of the commercial. And then a little teeny bit of the residential across the street, so.
That's
You could turn around.
It's the Romrell side that you need the turnaround for, not the commercial side, right?
You would use probably what is this, Shoshone? For the commercial side, you would use the Shoshone intersection as a place for
Just
backing up, turn.
Yeah, cause it's only really one lot deep,
Yeah,
which we allow.
I emailed that to him as
How
a
you can plow that.
starting point, I guess.
I'm sure that's a resident.
well, the other thing is to keep people from going through there, you would have to set some sort of separation.
Yeah, that's why I wondered about the one pole, not the two.
Half a cul-de-sac.
I mean, how are they gonna turn around from
One here and here.
on the residential side? How are they gonna get turned around on that side?
It would be a very difficult thing to do, so. It's either you separate it somewhere on the north side of that cul-de-sac from the commercial to the other stuff and the residential. This would be the turnaround for the residential side.
Okay, what about Sioux? Your
Sioux would go,
Romrell, go back down Sioux.
yeah,
Okay, then how would you plow the snow? Could you pile it up into the other cul-de-sac?
we don't know. This is a
It's just a
place to start and see how much 50-foot diameter radius cul-de-sac would take as far as land.
To make the curve and then push this out just a little bit this way. and then-
Not for being able to turn our dump trucks around.
This.
They need pretty much every bit of that.
This
This is the only place you
Yeah,
have.
what you
snow
can do,
to snow.
just shift this way.
Coming down here, you'd have to.
And then you turn that into a vessel and then just bake
Which
it
would be a
this,
problem.
add it to their lots.
Yeah. That I think would make more sense for the other side of things for the residential.
And so I didn't hear that
Yeah, share
No,
that with.
I
throw
was
that
just-
on there and
I
share
was
it.
just saying, if you were doing two, so you basically leave where David has this cul-de-sac now. Maybe push it a little more towards the well lot for the subdivision. And then just take this intersection here
Make it.
and make it a cul-de-sac bold, and then you'd probably just have a little bit of area here that you'd end up vacating and giving to the lots, but then their access is there and you can access the lower two. And then you could probably push this cul-de-sac a little more towards their well building and a little less out of driveway, but that's just an
How close
idea.
could you get it to the well building without impacting the zoning stuff? 30 foot?
30 foot?
It's just basically, you should be 30 foot, but if it needs to get closer, we just basically call it non-conforming where it's a well lot structure and let it be replaced in the same footprint.
Well, and the reason I put it where it is so that I didn't take any of their residential out of that lot to the south.
Which they
If
would.
we
if
push
you-
it west, then it's gonna take.
But you could even still leave this here and then still do the bulb up there too, it just. That way you'd have two turnarounds on either
And if you
side.
have two turnarounds, you still. To keep people
Oh,
from
yeah,
going
gotta
through,
block
you still
off.
have. to
Yeah,
have
so that's why I'm
some
saying essentially you just end up doing a fence here and a fence here and then you just
Some sort of.
vacate this and give it
Or
to.
a
the
water
owners.
fountain and a flagpole.
He was gonna contact the owners of
I,
the
maybe we
neighbors
can
there.
take that, what's left of the roundabout at Iona, 25th, that's centering and put it out here. See if people
There's
can
not
finish,
much left.
finish driving through it.
No, they started demolition about 2 years ago. Every drunk
Maybe
driver-
3 years ago.
Insurance. Insurance funded. Okay. Thank you.
Just wanted to ask, has there been any more conversation on that big break restricted zone that was here last week? When or it's,
It's the language.
well,
That's where
they,
we're at, right, is.
it's up to the commissioners, I guess, whether they want to make that zone or not, and my thoughts are they're out there in an ag zone. They should kind of expect that kind of thing.
I agree. It just concerns me that, you know, every time you get somebody that's happy about a Jake, that, you know, changing it again. It's hard to do.
It would be nice if we came up with some kind of numbers on affected homes,
I think
just so
that's-
that there's consistency in future applications, so that it's like, if it's a subdivision with 80 doors that's getting pounded at 5 o'clock every morning when the trucks go by, that's different than 5 houses on a country road.
Out there, I think there's maybe a dozen houses from the highway.
But I don't know, maybe that's not the right way to think about it either. It is the individual.
It'd be interesting to know the frequency too. Is it every day year round? Is it increased right now because of harvest and the trucks running up and down the road?
And it's hard to
Sure
get that
it is.
number.
Yeah,
Cause they've got those new cellars up there.
yeah, that's just
Hauling in,
what you wonder. I mean, if, to me, that's part of the judgment is if it's a free, everyday travel, Jake break use in front of a subdivision
So
versus
I expect.
a one time a year during harvest.
Where's that coming from?
The
There's
Jake
Jake
break,
Lane and Foothill.
yeah. I just don't see that they're gonna
I
use that year round.
Say every morning, when somebody's Jackson bringing garbage over, you know, that's an every day. 5 days a week thing. But this one, I don't know.
Or Jake break ordinance.
Yeah, they're covered, so they're inside there. That section.
We got a complaint about Jake breaks coming down Sunnyside Road past Ox Landing. I sent him over to Road Bridge.
I don't know if you guys saw that come in, but
So if you've seen the ordinance,
The trucks coming from the transfer from Peterson.
yeah, just coming right down that hill.
And they,
can't use them in the air, they
I can see. Oh, you can.
that is super
Within a mile.
heavy traffic.
Which is where.
with trucks. I can see that.
I see.
In fact, we were coming back from hunting on
But
Monday. We
we
were talking
don't have all the signs up.
because there was a bunch of trucks
Yeah.
on that road.
Where there's problems, so when there's a problem, that I've got to you guys, is that
I don't recall hearing that.
About that one either.
Oh, well, that's good. I didn't know that. You guys had that.
it's just a,
Just new,
it's a
brand new, August.
I noticed that if you'll email me that. You know, I noticed you drivers have been out there almost all the minute.
dirt up and rich, no, now, who hasn't?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that was.
Most likely, he was looking at that pile and been looking at it for a while, but.
Has he got that much dirt?
Yeah, he wants dirt every chance he gets, more often even than maybe a pickup, but he wants dirt all the time.
He has a better chance of getting the dirt.
It's,
We need to do area of impact.
yeah.
Back to the
Sure, that'd be great. So just coming back to that, are there any safety concerns? Like, I think in a lot of areas, and coming in the area of impact, it's probably pretty flat, but like coming off the hill there. You know, do the drivers need a jake brake coming off that? You know,
According to the drivers I talked to, there's not a need for it, it's a convenience thing and it saves some brakes, obviously. Especially the folks that are traveling around the mountains.
yeah,
Which does turn into a safety if it's, I mean,
If they're experienced drivers who overheat their
If they're-
brakes, that's a problem.
it is.
But we shouldn't have those around our area of impact.
I would hope not, but
Brian,
Well, no, like I said last week, things have changed a little bit. This used to be. You know, none of the farms had trucks that had jakes on them. You know, they were just older, smaller trucks and we just, you know, didn't have it. Now with the farms getting bigger and bigger, guys are buying bigger trucks with jakes and running faster, bigger motors. So it's definitely changed. And, yeah, it's easier to drive if you're using your jake, you know, because you can stay on it and then when you slow, you can slow quick, you're not worried about your brake.
the new ones don't make pop, 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 to the old jig brakes. At least that's what
Yeah.
it was explained to me. The new ones
well,
are
they're
just
still
not a
pretty
issue.
loud.
Well, and, you know, honestly, a lot of the drivers just love to hear that sound. You know?
As one of them tell me, it keeps the animals off the road from. It's like, not any better than any other one, does. Okay,
thanks.
that answers the question. Austin?
So we've got the ordinance number 26424, which is the City of Idaho Falls Area of Impact Agreement map. With City of Idaho Falls and Bonneville County. We had the public hearing on this. I guess it's been 3 weeks ago now and. The new state statute on area of impact says that we'll adopt it essentially with some written findings, which is the whereas and the first of this agreement that's finding why we're adopting this and. Guess I'll answer any questions. If you have any, you got the map associated with it.
And answered in the. You know,
Yeah, mine as well.
I mean, do we adopt ordinance
26424.
26424?
I would
Thank you
second
for the
that.
motion, thank you for the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And then there is a signature line for all three on the agreement, and then there's a summary ordinance, which will just be signed by John to be published in the Post Register.
This is the Idaho Falls area, but
Yeah.
can't believe it. Thanks for the work, Wade, that you did with.
Yeah, a big thank you to both of you. And of course to him for theirs. It's nice to have
That's great.
the, we get bones done yet?
Soon.
The ions.
That would be a small area, but I think
A lot of expected growth up there.
Yep. Thank you. Okay, thank you.
That's it for me.
Anything else? No.
I might just clarify. On our calendars, November 15th for the ag protection zone, is that
November 13th, yeah,
November 13th?
I believe.
Okay,
It's 13th of November.
okay, and that'll be the final to be able to adopt it, get it going, okay,
Final public hearing, yeah.
that's good.
First time I brought that up at the BMPO meeting. Everybody looked at me like I just sprouted antlers. So guessing somebody's read that now, so they know what this is about and how it will carry influence on future growth. Okay,
Yeah, I think they're.
make sure we're not accused of slipping stuff in the backside.
Like BMPO does.
What's the ag protection ordinance?
House Bill 60. It's a state thing that they asked us to basically all the counties to adopt an ag protection area. Allows people with 5 acres or more to come petition to the Ag Protection Board to have their property included in an agricultural protection area for a period of 20 years.
Has to be actually being used as.
Yeah, they have to have proof of use. I think it's for the last 3 years of ag production. So be a good thing for.
Culture doesn't count.
Initially, it started at considerably more acreage, but there's a number of small acreages that are being farmed as part of larger plots. To accommodate that process, but it's reviewed by an independent board. And
Yeah, so it's just basically the county side.
well,
Protects them from
right, and it,
annexation and certain types of right-of-way acquisition.
and there's a special note for land that's inside an area of impact. And I know you have, Ammon has some on the south, but right at the edge. That have long-term. Really public plans for their ag ground. And so I had some questions about some of those just this last week, so. Stuff to talk about. Planning for those areas. All up front with all of that, so we're good together.
Yeah, you were open, Austin sent it to me and I looked over it.
Yeah, and I've talked about it at several of the MPO, high capacity roadway study meetings too.
And engineering firm, Boise doesn't like them at all. Okay,
Anything you guys, either of the cities have?
A couple updates for the board today. First one, you may have noticed First Street is closed at the bridge. And so that's underway right now. We got the detour in just in time. So people are coming through our new road out to Pony Express and on the hip.
did you do that just to train them where the new road is? Was that the?
Yeah, there was some of that.
Perfect
Yeah.
timing.
Yeah, there was actually. And everybody always is asking us, why do you guys make that road down Curlew wider? Cause it's just a 2-lane road. Well, it's because we don't have any development. That area is not even platted right now. And so we anticipate the developers are gonna be clearing that out and redoing a lot of this stuff. That's why it's so narrow. But that bridge is gonna be under construction for X period of time.
I'm not gonna tell you a schedule. We have a schedule, but we just have, every one of them has been battered up. And so we're not even putting in our public, press releases anymore, our schedule. So it'll be closed for a year. There you go.
Indeterminate amount of time.
That's right.
Yeah.
So the other update for you guys is, we did enter into an agreement with the fire district for use of our, fueling. Bulk fueling facility over at the Public Works shop, and that, the way we did that was, we kind of learned from the interaction between the city and the county. We told the fire district, you guys can use our facility for 2 years, then you gotta build your own. So it's just a 2-year arrangement, and then we're done, and they agreed to that. And so for the next 2 years, they're, gonna, fill their penny banks up, and piggy banks up, and save up enough money to build their own facility. So it's working good so far.
Our intent is not to separate, it's to increase,
Yeah,
Yeah.
if this goes through,
Encourage regular communication.
we share the cost and increase the capacity on the current facility. It's more economical, but
yeah.
Just out of curiosity, what's your
lot of
storage
complications,
capacity?
a lot of complications along the way that
Yeah,
didn't provide for good communication. So we tried to clean it up.
yeah, and we weren't opposed to going that route either, but we just both thought, we, the city and the fire district, that probably need to have one. And we didn't want all those trucks coming through town all the time. So our capacity is way smaller than you guys. It's only like
Well, I don't know what your,
8,000,
what your expected,
from the fire district.
no, yours for Ammon, what you're expected if you couldn't get fuel delivery, how long can you run?
We can do about a month. Yeah, we think we've got 5,000 diesel and 3,000
days.
gas. So it's way, I mean, you guys are at your facility, what, you're 65,000 gallons or something like that.
Use is higher.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
I
were,
think we're
only a
somewhere
couple of
between
months, right?
14 days and 30 days for active emergency storage.
That's underway. It's working well. They've all got electronic fobs. They just authenticate in and out with vehicles and drivers. And then it's
Storage
automatically
in the floodplain or above the.
It's above the floodplain. Yeah, just a little bit, right?
Sorry, emergency responder questions.
Just a little bit.
Another update, I just called Margaret about this morning, but, we got a request from Hillcrest to rename Darrell Avenue to Night Way, as in night shining armor.
Yeah, oh, that's cute.
And so we have no addresses on Darrell, and I don't think Idaho Falls is either.
Yeah, I was just.
Yeah. So it'd be an easy name change, and we're okay with it, but Idaho Falls controls hit roads, so it would impact that one intersection signage there. Do you guys have any concerns with us changing it to Night Way?
We haven't have any other nights in our.
Yeah.
That I know of.
Other nights and subdivisions.
You pump it through GIS. It's-
Yeah, we do.
Not a people can-
Yeah, there's no night ways so far.
Is it,
Yes, there were.
is it according to the grid as well? Nightly, it's, I don't know if you know, there's actually a reason to call the way,
Oh.
doesn't matter.
We'd have to look it up. We could call it Night Drive too.
Nightway sounds a lot better.
Night Street.
Yeah, the only thing is the affected entities, the affected property owners.
I'd like to have an address discussion with y'all before you leave. That's all.
So. Brian and Roger, you guys are leaving January. Would you guys like to do a joint city-county lunch with the city council plus the 2 new commissioners before you leave?
Sure. Okay.
I'll talk with Sean about that. That's great. We were thinking it might just be a good idea,
Yeah.
just to get everybody together and help with the
Discussion once before
Good idea.
mayor and neutral territory restaurant with a banquet room.
yeah,
You want to invite, incomings.
yeah,
Yeah, they're okay.
yeah, the two,
That's a
two
good
new
idea.
plus everybody.
So after the election, before,
Yeah, I think the last one we did was in December. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that time worked pretty well. Just curious how your right-of-way acquisitions doing on First Street.
Slow.
hasn't changed from last week apparently, because we didn't get a new one, so.
Yeah, we're, so the one parcel is in the attorney's hands for eminent domain, and the other parcel needs to be scheduled probably for the attorneys to talk about it.
So just the two remaining.
Yeah, that's my understanding.
Okay.
Push the word, but it is,
Yeah,
So Micah, that roundabout on Daryl,
The new one?
yeah. Is that the permanent with that? Was that a temporary idea to see how it works and then?
Yes, both.
if it works, it's permanent. And if
I
it
was just
doesn't,
curious. I do think it's going to work better.
Yeah.
But I was just looking at it the other day and I'm like, I can't decide if that's temporary or. So it's right there. If you go past Sportsman's, like you were to head to Hillcrest and then there's that cross section, you used to have the two-way stop. They made that a roundabout there instead of a two-way stop to. But it's just, I don't know how to describe it. It's like,
temporary,
yeah, it's a temporary application, so I was wondering if it was just a test to say, does this actually work? And then we're gonna do something different or what the,
I think that it's, yeah, it's a wait and see. It was really cheap to put that in. So we, it was way cheaper than tearing up the whole intersection.
right,
That's the way we did it, and if it works really well, we'll build a more permanent roundabout solution. And a problem with
I
that,
like the speed bump on the 17th.
which
Oh,
one?
that's a roundabout.
Oh, yeah. Hey, those minis, they,
Bus bump.
everybody chuckles about those.
Oh,
You
but it
know,
works.
they work.
Yeah,
And I think the main feeling people have when they do those is they are not impressed, but they still work. They're underwhelmed, but they're not about. You guys have set the example.
The thing I appreciate about it is you made it low enough, because I pulled my trailer out along there, you could not have made the turn.
Oh,
No, just right.
Right outside, right through.
Yeah, it was designed to do that.
yeah, they essentially, I don't even know what those are, what it is that's made out of. That
It's-
temporary roundabout.
It's like the same thing as the speed bumps at like Costco.
Yeah,
That's why I call it.
they're like those up, but they just put them in a circle to make it a round. It does work really well. I've driven through it 2 or 3 times now. I was just curious if that, I was just like, I wonder what their,
What's it called permit?
what the
And then when it gets
solution
upgraded,
was here, yeah, but.
Yeah, that intersection was tough because it was so close to Hood Road there that a four-way stop could be problematic. And so it warranted a four-way stop. But the roundabout was.
Yeah, no, I think it was a good thing. I just was curious on this.
My last question for you guys, did anybody go to the Hike Past the Roadway study last night?
Sure did.
Yeah. Oh, really? Any highlights?
A lot of angry people.
Yeah.
There's probably 1,500 people there and I would
What?
say that
Yeah.
most of them
They didn't have any
are not
pitchforks or
in favor.
torches.
they weren't let in with.
Well, I asked them to leave them in the trucks.
What was the meeting?
At the
Skyline
Hammond
activities.
activities,
That was
the-
right there
yeah,
by the
They had a lot of
airport.
space.
used to be
There
the.
probably wasn't enough space. It should have been probably somewhere else. But there wasn't one. It was just open house. So they just ran the slides and then Lance and I and other people from BMPO submit comments and talked to a lot of really happy people.
Pitchfork toting.
Yeah.
Lance had a more fun conversation than I did. So I listened to that while he was standing behind me.
There's no advantage in being called. Not a lynch party.
It, most of the people out there are pretty adamantly opposed
knows that it needs to go further north and go somewhere else.
Further south.
And
Or
stay,
south, yeah.
and stay on the line.
And stay on the line.
Yeah, that was the big thing I got.
So, I don't know, there's some validity to the points that are brought up, but a lot of it is, not in my backyard.
Of course, yeah.
I probably had 4 or 5 people tell me, well, you just don't understand, these are $3 or $4 million homes out here, and I said, truthfully, that's no different than if it was a $300,000 or $400,000 home. It's still somebody's livelihood, it's still what they've worked for, so.
Still their home.
It, you know, I think that once people understood that it was more of a study and a concept than an actual, this is exactly what's happening, it calmed them down a little bit, but
So I told people to keep an open mind, go to the meeting.
Yeah, but the gas that were on the fire was not making a decision on that south one. It made it look like bigger than the Salt Lake Expressway.
that's the problem. The line they had on the map was 2,000 feet.
Wide.
Wide.
There's.
And they weren't really sure where it was gonna be.
So you're taking a swath and people think they're gonna be more effective than probably in reality they would be, right? But we'll see what happens, I guess.
How set is it? That alignment?
It's not.
I mean,
I'm sorry, at the last meeting, when they moved the line the third time, the one guy actually said, well, we're not sure where this is gonna go, so we're making the line wider. And that'll give us wiggle room inside the 2,000 foot wide stripe. Because my honest feeling is they were at a deadline to get their paperwork finished up and they wanted to be done with it and hand it over. And
It's,
they had all these dates set up and they had to get, instead of. That,
it's about as set up as 30 years ago. When we were presented with the first one, and then Sunnyside Road being the expressway. And 45th East. And then 20 years ago. It moved a little farther south, a little farther east, because development just was allowed to happen, 65th, then it was moved down to 65th. But with Ivywood, the way those are offsets, there's no way possible, so.
Yeah.
They plan these so far ahead, but never implement them. That's been the history for 30 years, I don't know.
going into this, it was, if we do this, we all need to pay attention to it and keep it alive and revisit it and make sure that we're protecting those right of ways down the road. My opinion had always been that means we need to start where we don't have subdivisions that we're wiping out subdivisions. And my ideas are further south than they're interested in.
But it always ends up in the same place like they're looking at here. They don't make a final decision and implement it, so there's no way you can start preserving the right of way. It's aspirational, and they want you to preserve.
The problem is there's definitely a need on the south somewhere to agree upon something and preserve something, right? That everybody gets on board with, but no matter where you put it, and I don't care, even if you move it to 81st on alignment, you're gonna get a lot of the exact same stuff that we had last night, because there's still people out there, you're still. So at some point, you've gotta just have a good study, and you've gotta be able to sit down and say, does the benefit of this outweigh the disruption that this is going to cause to the particular community? And that's what every governing board has to decide on their own, right? But I do feel like it's hard that we got to a point that just like, okay, well, we know this needs to go somewhere on the south, but we could never really have enough time to get to where does this make the most sense and what's the best design concept we can come up with. It just kind of felt like this is where we're at, push send.
Yeah.
It's the point you have to, but.
When they're saying, well, let's just move it here. Well, you can't. There's a great big gravel pit there. Well, then let's move it this much further. Well, we can't because we have a development that's planned in that area. Well, okay, so then if we wiggle it here and bend it around that and move it a little bit further,
And there's a lot of people
You
that
don't do that
purchase the farm ground out
weeks.
there for speculation and development, so then you're ruining their investment because it's just the same old.
I like keeping it off 65th.
and
We've got the freeway set up for it there. We've got the
65th.
tracks.
Problem is where you
There's
hit
two
Ivy,
developments
where you
with
hit Ivywood. and the
staggered
traffic
intersections
there,
and-
there's no way to make it work.
And the city engineers say, we've gotta have bike lanes and crosswalks to make this a walking neighborhood and fit these requirements, and we can't do that with 5 lanes and staggered intersections.
Well, it's the problem with 5 lanes on 65th now is Ivywood.
Yeah.
And when they designed it, it's historical for, your reference.
Yeah,
When they designed those, they had offsetting intersections, even though they recommended that the city line them up. Because on Sunnyside, they did a pretty good job developing all those subdivisions
Yeah, it
up there so that you had main and everything collected, and then you had just limited access. But on 65th now, at least that section through Ivywood, that's impossible. Without a huge
Yeah,
problem.
that's why it got pushed from 65th in the original meetings, because we realized quickly that.
That and the overhead
Power,
transmission.
yeah, power.
And there's volumes of good information that have come from this with regards to the traffic flow patterns around town. And I love the fact that Crowley Road is the green line on project, because traffic flows really well down 45th East.
Yeah.
And it will flow better as we continue with that project. We just need to do that.
Well, they study it until the opportunity's passed. They just never got past the study part.
Well, another thing is, when you start looking further outside, most of that area is in the county. Not any city.
Right. I think Lisa Birch pointed that out.
Well,
She did, but I mean, it's,
the problem is the further south you go, at least from what Ireland is telling us, is the
there's
less.
less and less people
The
that'll
less
actually go that way.
benefit that you get because you're pushing it
travel
out
time
further and the
combined.
growth's not out there, and it's way faster just to go up 65th or 49th than to cut back and go out to 81st and catch an expressway, so. That's part of the problem too, is you wanna plan ahead, but you don't wanna put it so far out that you've spent all this money and it sits there for 20 or 30 years and not
Same
used.
with the I-15 US 20 corridor, the further north you put it, the less
effective it
people
is.
would
Yeah.
be actually to go up and go around.
That's why Foothill Road was planned in that at one time. It died because.
So the location, I mean, the location that it ended up really, as far as benefiting traffic and all of that long term, probably is close to a good location as far as what the study and the numbers show. It's just. Don't
Well,
want to
maybe that
line
line
have
would
it there.
go right through the Lazy 8 subdivision.
But that's the thing, I think there's enough latitude that you could design it. It would be designed around those things once you get to design, right? But right
Oh,
now,
yeah.
they're just
But,
swathing it.
Convince them of that though.
well, and
I'm from the government.
we can't go
I'm here to help.
protect access for a 2,000-foot wide strip for 5 miles.
That's the thing,
That
you
winds
have to
back and
have,
forth
you
around.
have to have a design done.
You gotta
to
know-
be able to
You have to have
acquire.
For you guys to be able to do your job, right? Gotta know where,
Well,
really.
and in the access management plan, this expressway is called to have a 200-foot wide right of way. So you're talking about a 200-foot wide swath.
Not 2,000.
Well, not 2,000, but 200 is still.
Yes, it
quite
is.
small.
That's pretty much a whole bunch of Lazy 8. Or one of the other subdivisions or Ivywood. Yeah, that was one of the other owners I got to come to for a couple hours.
Christensen, how many studies have they done? You said this was the third that they've done.
Oh, I just picked a number.
Oh,
because
oh.
Yeah, well, I know there was,
They're constant.
my understanding was the last one like this that was done, that was published in 82 or 84.
They're constantly studying and never coming to the truth. I mean, it just seems like an ongoing process that they keep getting ready to do a study or do a study, and then, well, it's time to upgrade that study. So then they talk about it for several years, but, never really, just like this is probably gonna die on the vine.
Yeah.
Because of
Well, I
the
hope not,
1,500
because
people.
we have a future
The traffic
that's gonna get worse. if we don't do
to
something.
have somewhere to go.
Yeah.
We need to do something, but my hope is that we can take what we learned last night and actually go back to the table and have a reasonable conversation of, okay, so now what? Well, we don't just put it in the garbage and say we're not gonna do this because people didn't like it. We take the input we got and say, how do we solve this now, given everything that we know?
But the first solution, this is when we took first office, was to improve Sunnyside and get that was that cooperative program, between the county, city and Hammond. To be able to get the traffic from one side, the freeway, all the way to the other side, which was Hammond. And to get it off 17th Street. And that took quite a project, it's 5 lanes. And at the time, they did have a plan better for the access management. Then 49th South was talked about. There are some of the wider right of ways down there. But
But it also dead ends before it gets yellow.
see, and then you go to 65th, and now you're down to 81st. Or somewhere in between, cutting right through the new 4-H facility.
I think you just gotta look at what can be acquired. Gosh, look at all the effort we spend acquiring teeny tiny little strips. Yeah, and it's like, okay, you're gonna take it through a whole subdivision, good luck,
Well, and that was the reason to go off alignment, off of the middle of the
Right.
fields where there's not driveways and houses all of them.
You're gonna get people to fight it, but.
Yeah.
Gosh, you're not like tearing people's houses down.
Oh, we are. You just come last night, we're taking them all down.
Well, the problem with that is whoever is sitting in these chairs at the time has to determine the need before they use eminent domain.
That's right, yeah.
And, it's hard to.
Sheriff's here.
Oh, yeah.
The old view extent. You weren't there back then. They wanted to have one of those out in the middle of the farm, way out west, no idea for developing to be years before it developed. And they wanted us to deter, to basically state the need, because the county had to use eminent domain. And I was one. Based on our sheriff's. How's it going?
And you still pay for eminent domain.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
now
not
the
free.
county